Welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pony drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pon Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Well, that's the end of the intro. It's time to begun.
And there we are. We are live with the Trinity Force Podcast. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for supporting us and all the good stuff, as I say every week. Joined by three great guys. One typing, that's Chira Jaden. Santana is here, and Dom is here as well.
Chira's back.
I am. I'm here.
Is it a one night only thing?
I don't know. I mean, it depends when I get busy, but I'm not busy tonight, and I love you guys.
Aww.
And I decided to surprise Adam 5 minutes before the show.
I just count you out at any point in time now.
I know.
Show up, you show up.
I figure. But
that is the state of the podcast at this point. Who shows up? Well, we'll never know. Like, who's here this week? Oh, I'm out.
It's a good thing we have a lot of people doing the show now, though.
Decent rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Variety.
It's definitely changed. We've definitely come a long way since when we first started having the same people every week. But I think it gives a good insight on how everybody views this game, and it gives everybody a different point of view to listen to and to take into account. So hopefully people aren't just listening to episodes that certain members of the podcast are on. Last week, there was a comment on one of the YouTube videos last week where they were surprised when Todd talked. They said it was silent for 20 to 35 minutes, and suddenly he just talked, and they were like, whoa!
I always feel bad. Like, he's... With him, it's to a point where it's just like, he's not going to say anything unless something needs to be said, but if he decides to say something, then, like, just everybody should
fucking listen. You better listen to it.
But... I don't think there's been anybody else like that on this show since, certainly since I joined.
Yeah.
New people tend to be quiet for a solid 20 episodes or so, and then they just don't shut up, which is probably a good thing, because that leaves it so the rest of us don't have to talk.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we've got, we're going to try to make an hour out of this podcast tonight, as we're going to go over some more listener questions. You can see them on the screen. I will make them bigger for the people that are out there looking at it, and... I don't know. Do you want to jump right into listener questions, or do we want to talk about communication?
I don't know. I thought I feel like the communication thing's an interesting topic because it's like we get so many listeners who write in asking about how do you corral your team into doing something or other, or how do you get the these solo queue people to even respond to anything that's going on, and it like. So communication in this game is important, and it's obviously on everybody's minds. But it wasn't until we played with Ranhurt the other night, and then you were talking about it the next day, that I really realized how infrequently we discuss it from that kind of just broader level.
Well, what happened is that I was talking to my buddy Ranhurt, and he hasn't played in a while, so he came back and started playing again. And he said we were giving him anxiety because Dom and I were constantly calling points out that were happening on the map, or where a jungler might be, or something that is going on. I can recall one point where he was trying to help out with Rift Herald, and I told him 3 times in quick succession, go back to mid, because he didn't need to be there helping. He just needed to be shoving out mid where the enemy mid laner was, and potentially drawing attention to him rather than drawing attention to us. Because if nobody's on the map, then you have to assume that they're all doing a global objective somewhere or running back from base. And that's not something that everybody thinks about. And it kind of just struck with me that I don't realize I'm calling out places, or I don't realize that I'm seeing these things happen, and I wonder how many more people out there are actually paying attention like we do. When we try to play this game.
Give him some credit too, because he's just returned. So I mean, for him, this is the equivalent of him trying to juggle and dodge traffic at the same time. He's having. I mean, he's already got a balance, doing all the laning stuff, and then he's playing with 3 or 4 other people that know this game really, really well.
But even
gotta
even
feel
at
bad.
an individual, like at a solo queue level, when you're not in comms with people and everything, I think it's reasonable to say that the higher you get MMR wise, like the more communication starts flying around. And one of the
Yes.
important things that any player needs to be able to do is adjust to how much pinging is going on. You know, knowing how to keep an eye on the mini map for those pings, and then knowing what each sound means along the way. I feel bad for anybody who might be playing this game muted, because dear God.
I mean, that's so much lost information if that were the case. But
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it is just practice, and part of it is you have to even if you get anxious about it, you have to go in saying like, look, nobody's angry. Most people aren't angry because they're pinging, and if they are angry, I can now mute those pings. But odds are good that the pinged information is relevant to me in some way, and starting to pay attention to that type of information coming to you should mean that you're able to then better communicate that information to the rest of your team. And if you know how to process that information quickly, or you can train yourself to process it quickly, you're going to start being able to sort of respond better to situations, and then almost, ideally get to a point where you can predict what's going on before the pings even come.
this sounds like someone who's not used to such an influx of data that once the data hits once the amount of information coming in hits this point where they just can no longer focus on it, they shut down and stress over it too much. And if that's the case, what do you suggest? Muting for the time being, sticking through and bearing with it? Because I think ultimately, just dealing with it is probably going to be the quickest way of acclimating to the amount of information coming in. But I mean, it's been so long since. I mean, I would think that it's probably similar to picking up a new game if you're not used to something like that and that much is coming in. You're trying to decipher a language that you're not used to listening to or reading.
I mean, I come from a sports background and I still coach. So when we work with a lot of newer players, you have to you dumb things down. You simplify things. You don't try and all right, here's everything we're doing, here's the plays we're running, and here's how you're going to run them. You break it down piece by piece, and then you go through it, you work through that. I mean, the same thing applies to League, and this kind of ties into a listener question later, but simplify what you're working with. If you're playing by yourself, just focus on your lane, and if your opponent's left the lane, ping missing. And then look at your mini-map every now and then, and see if you can get other pings from that. But trying to put everything together at once, especially if you've just come back to how long's Reinhardt been gone? A couple of years
Since season 2.
Yeah, so he's missed 5 seasons of everything, and that's a lot to take in. I mean, even just between seasons, it's a lot to take in.
He asked me, since when does Zillion have a stun? And I just said,
Right.
since he can land 2 bombs. And I didn't realize, I'd forgotten that Zillion has been reworked that long.
He got reworked in season 4.
Yeah, that he didn't have a stun at one point in time.
Yeah,
I mean, I make him play against the Gangplank. That's going to be a massive change compared to back then too.
Right.
Yeah, again, he's learning a whole different game, whole different system, whole different everything. He's almost better off just pretending that everything he knew up until this point never happened and just starting fresh.
mm-hmm. Might as well. I mean,
Rather than being wrong and expecting one thing and that not happening.
I don't know. I see a lot of new players. I see a lot of replay reviews of players that play, and they try to. I think what a lot of people do is they listen to this podcast and they try to take all our advanced strategies and use those advanced strategies, such as communication through understanding pings, right? That you could argue that's an advanced strategy, is telling people where a jungler is at.
It's
If you can ping
shorthand
missing.
is all it is.
Yeah, but a lot of times they forego all the basics before they start learning all the advanced techniques first. It's like, learning how to do a single leg before you've learned how to even take a shot. And
There are some people that means nothing to. You have to learn to crawl before you can walk,
Right.
and walk before you can run.
Sure.
what's the point of timing jungle camps and jungle pathing if you can't see us in lane?
Or
there's
if you're
no one.
what's the point in timing any of that stuff if you're taking half your health in damage from jungle monsters on the
Right.
first pole?
Right.
Yeah, I just want more players out there that are listening to us, and more players that are just playing this game in general to work on the basics and continue to always get better at the basics. specifically, we need to talk about trading stance. I don't necessarily want to talk about that tonight because I'm not prepared for it, but that's something that we need to talk about because that is that's another skill that you just,
Lane mechanics.
Yeah, lane mechanics are just so big, even outside of playing a jungler.
Yeah.
Or, rather than outside of playing a lane, I should have said.
Friend of mine and I, like, whenever I play with him, he has his own frustrations that go along with playing with him. But there are some times where, like, we will do like something will happen, and we'll have been playing with a teammate or something who was like trying to be really flashy or do all kinds of other crazy shit, and then we'll just easily take an objective or get a kill or something. And the first thing out of my mouth is like, this game's not that hard. Like, everybody's overthinking so many elements of this game, trying to make themselves look like the best player every single game. And if you just go in with the intent to do your job instead of trying to do your job better than anybody who has ever done your job before.
Well, that in itself takes a bunch of pressure off of you, too. Like, there isn't the pressure to perform in that regard. It's just, hey, let's fuck up the least. And if everybody does that the best, the team that does that to the best wins.
Literally all solo queue is who throws more.
Yeah.
That's the entire game. You can be down 20 kills, but you can still win that game because solo queue is a giant fiesta.
You easily see that all the way up the plat.
Oh, hell, all the way through Diamond. Easy.
Go watch any Acuity streams and like Masters and Challengers. Like, it's the same thing. It's just they're better players, and that's
they're better at fucking up.
It's all the same.
Yeah, I was watching him play today, playing a Tristana, and
yeah.
I was just watching him do some things, like some of his mechanics, right? And the mechanic being which way he flashed or which way he walked, understanding the projectile path of a certain ability and whatnot. I'm like, well, I would have been hit by that because I wouldn't have walked left. I would have kept walking forward.
Yeah, if you've ever caught like any of the like really high elo players or in the high challenger like Koreans, if they have face cams, what you'll notice is their eyes are always moving because the mechanics they do in lane are all muscle memory at this point, and they're always just watching their peripherals. They're checking their minimap, they're checking the outside of the lanes. They're not actually looking at the lane itself.
Did he just lag out?
I think so.
We lost Gorgeous
He's
George.
gone. He just dipped out. He jettisoned.
That's a shame. He was in.
Yeah, he was ready to go.
Having a good run.
And the face he has right now is wonderful.
There he is.
There he is.
I
Welcome back.
love Comcast. It's wonderful. Why I'm dropping it this week.
Nice.
I'll make a note of that for later. So when Lansford goes to the MP3, people are like, "What is he talking about?" Well,
Yeah, my Audacity's still fine. It's just everything else just dropped.
unfortunately, we talked over you, so it's not funny. So maybe they can take us out talking, but
Who knows?
I know there's not too much to talk about there with understanding pings and using that because I just think there's other things to work on. But I kind of wanted to bring back to the game last night that Sean and I played, where Sean, you've talked about this before, and I can't stand it when it comes to its team setting, but I think it works really well for solo queue or duoing. He was Elise. I played top turn last night into a Darius. The Darius picked into me.
Ooh.
And Sean visited my lane 5 times in the first, 10 minutes.
And Darius didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, and Darius didn't want to play anymore. But I thought it was a pretty valid strategy for junglers, and I thought you may want to talk about that a little bit. Well, solo queue junglers.
Yeah, so I really like when I have strong laners, and if I'm playing with especially because I duo all the time, and I'm playing with somebody who has a solo lane, usually top. One of my favorite things to do right off the bat, if I have a really strong ganker like Elise, is basically just immediate double buff, hit 3. You have it coordinated so that your laner is just going to let them push. And then you just swoop in from behind, you gank, you get the flash blown, whatever, you force it back. And then as soon, regardless of whether or not it works, if they back and they teleport back in, you just fucking wait in that bush.
Yup.
You just wait in that bush until they come back. Because they always just expect that you left, and most of the time you can get a kill out of it. And if you did get a kill on the first kill, like on the first attempt, and they res and they teleport back in, you're waiting in that bush and you just kill them again. And you do that every single time you want to. What?
There's one flaw that
What?
you're overlooking.
What's that flaw?
Well, the enemy jungler could be could come up there.
That's part of the reason. Like I usually we'll use the Elise game for example. It's immediate red, wolves blue, hit 3, immediately go top, but before going straight to top, because I'm paying attention to the enemy lane, I know that he hasn't gone to ward yet. I end up warding his tri-brush, sitting in that tri-brush for a second, because at that level I know I can out 1v1 the Hecarim that might be on his way. Not to mention I skipped the camp that he didn't skip. So I'm probably 15-ish seconds ahead of him. And then basically as soon as you can get, for this example, I had Adam basically bait out a Darius Q, because as soon as Darius is binary in the fact that he's going to go in on you, and if he can land that Q, he's going to go in on you really hard. So the moment Adam goes up to bait it, that guy ends up swinging, you just immediately swoop in behind. It was really, really easy to get a kill off that. I just go back and sit in that tri-brush, making sure that Hecarim's not coming by. Darius teleports back up, immediately go back in, kill him again, and then I go and I counter jungle one of Hecarim's camps, because nothing Hecarim could have done about it, and I come right back and kill Darius again. And that's how you make people quit the game.
I am flabbergasted by the number of top laners who don't expect to get ganked at the 3-minute mark.
It works so often.
If I was playing top lane, I would just assume that the enemy jungler is going to be coming at my lane around 3 minutes.
I think it's because, I'm convinced, and it's because I do this myself. Right around level 3 is where you start to feel good, depending on whatever champion you're playing on. This is my time to be able to kill the enemy laner one-on-one. And there are so many times where it's man, I can kill this guy one-on-one, and you get him pretty low or something like that, or you're both sitting at half health, and you're okay, if I just have to fucking hit this Swain W and get this fucking little bird on him and just go in there and auto-attack him twice, and I got this, first blood. And then the enemy jungler pops up the moment you go, and you're well, fuck, I'm dead. There's nothing exactly. You're not getting away from him. I think it works, and it especially works in top. And again, I wouldn't have done this necessarily if I wasn't playing with Adam, or I wasn't playing with somebody who kind of knows what's going on. And if I'm playing solo queue, I'll try and let them know that this is something that I want to do. But yeah, those early ganks, they work. I mean, it's the same thing. I've been really loving, depending again on champion, level 2 ganks. Call me crazy, but sometimes it's fun to just go in, take a buff, immediately go up somewhere when they're not expecting it. You can wrap around, and if they're playing somebody who's aggressive at level 1 or 2, again, that is in many cases a free kill, because people don't expect you to be there. So that plays a whole lot into game knowledge of knowing when certain champions that your team or the enemy team have that might be strong at certain times. Because if it's somebody like Darius, if it's somebody like Yasuo, if it's somebody that can be really, really aggressive early on with trades, if you can just go up there and get behind him. I mean, Darius, if he blows his flash and you still have stun, he's not getting away from you. You'll kill him. It's really not that difficult. The only person I'm tentative about that's Alawi, because that's one bullshit champion that can flip 2-on-1s like it's nobody's business, especially after 6. But again, that's
lane matchups. Fiora can too.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. And again, you're gonna need to know when champions are strong and when they're not, and it's definitely something that can work and work very, very well if people are paying attention, and if the enemy team isn't paying attention.
You're a top laner, ward at 255, because that's realistically the fastest a jungler can get top lane if they get a strong leash from bot lane or even top. And
if I wouldn't count on it, but if there's assholes like me and I'm playing Lee Sin or something like that, and I'm fuck it, I'm just gonna go red because I'm starting top side, and go red and immediately kill the top laner. That can work too, but yeah,
I don't like level 2ing unless I'm playing
you have to pretty much be able to guarantee it. You need a laner with a hard CC.
Yeah, the amount of times in solo queue I've seen people die to level 2 Twitch jungle ganks is incredible. That's the only thing he can do. He goes red gank. Only thing he has, and it works almost every time for whatever reason.
There are a handful of champions that do those really good cheese things, like Evelyn. I think is one that a lot of people do it on. Evelyn will get one buff, and then she's going to be in the opponent jungler. Yeah. So if you're playing against Evelyn, and especially if you're the jungler, but if you're playing against Evelyn, like just fucking assume she is going to be where you don't want her to be, and like get ready to respond.
Evelyn's one of those lower elo champions that no one respects, and she's always in your lane, and you always die to it.
Well, and she's one of those champions too that, like, I mean, if she goes even, she's not doing that great. But if she gets ahead, good luck. Especially if your team's not paying attention, because she's going to pick anybody she wants to off all the time.
Yeah.
Did we? So moving the conversation.
Oh yeah, and in bronze MMR, anybody who's playing Evelyn, odds are good that person kind of knows how to play Evelyn.
That doesn't surprise me.
Smite, Ignite, sit at the red buff, kill them, snowball.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, if you run into an Evelyn, assume that person knows what they're doing.
Yeah, she's not a very high pick rate champion, because if she's behind, she's pretty
useless.
She's genuinely useless.
Yeah.
Poor champion. I hate those kind of
Evelyn.
It's a bunch of shit like that. If you're getting sick of seeing Master Yi's in your game, fucking learn how to play Rammus and shit on that guy's day. I don't know. There's so much craziness going on. I was talking with Adam last night. This is probably the healthiest. I mean, well, maybe not in the pro scene, but like healthiest solo queue jungle distribution that we've seen in fucking forever. Forever. I mean, there's maybe 15 champions that are below 50%, and out of those, only 3 or 4 of them are below 47% win rate. That's pretty good.
And I argue Lee Sin is actually a way higher tier jungler than he's listed there, just because of his play rate.
Bad at him.
Yeah. Like I don't think Diana's a jungler, so I don't think she counts either.
Yeah, I mean it's a little weird, and then a lot of those sub 50 junglers are the kind of champs that don't really jungle.
Some of the sub
like Pantheon is not much of a jungler these days.
Some of the sub 50 junglers are ones that can do extremely well in really good hands too, like Graves and
Rumble.
Graves,
I mean.
Rumble.
Rumble's not much of a jungler anymore, is he?
They
destroyed that, didn't they? All right, cool.
Yep.
Great. Hated that champion.
No, but I think it's a good point. Is that jungle actually is at a pretty healthy state, all things considered. There's a few outliers here with the Graves and Lee Sin, for example, being really well, and of course there's always going to be the top and bottom of the barrel, no matter what. But barring the removal of Zac and a few of the other cancerous junglers.
I mean, but even like look at what the spread is right now. With the Maokai as the 5th winningest jungler is only up like 1.5%. Like he's at 51.54% for jungle, rate. And then everybody except for the bottom 4 win rate junglers are all like 47-48%. That's really not that far. Like that's not that big of a difference. It's not like the 44s, 45s, 46s we've seen in the past.
Yeah, once you get past Lee for play rate, everything's pretty well okay. Yeah, like even Nidalee, and Nidalee's a very much you play Nidalee and that's how you play.
Lee's back to being the most picked jungler and one of the worst at it, success-wise.
A lot of people
because you got to get ahead on him. I mean, it's Evelyn syndrome, really.
Yeah, but the thing is, everybody tries to be super flashy with Lee, and you don't have to be flashy on Lee to do well.
No,
everybody tries the ward hop flash, Q across to get to the ADC.
I would argue
in the playoffs.
I would argue that like 7 out of 10 times that people go to do that, they end up flubbing it so hard they basically wasted the not only did they get themselves killed, they got themselves killed while wasting ultimate and flash.
Yup.
It's one of you have to go practice.
If you want to do something fancy, just fucking kick Q. Be a boss. Just do that. Come on, it's not hard.
I mean, it's pretty easy to flash in front of somebody and kick them back into the team. It's more about the ward hopping and weird shit you can do through it. I've gone into practice mode with Lee Sin and tried to do like the really quick ward hops into flashes and shit. That shit's really fucking hard to do. I can't even get after spending 20 minutes in the practice mode to work on it. So, good luck. Good luck to anybody out there playing it, unless you're god tier skilled with Lee Sin or the fastest fingers in the West.
Yeah, you put enough practice in, it's not too bad.
Which don't outwork the fastest fingers in the East.
Or south, or north.
All right.
Or north, or up.
I think I
He's
was
so amused by himself.
I know he thinks
He
he's
always
hilarious.
is.
I was going to roll back for the last half hour of this podcast with a little bit of listener questions. I think we talked about Camping Dragons question last week, where it was if you forgot to pick up Smite. So just
Ooh, have fun.
that was pretty much good luck.
There's not much to say to that one. Just
Yeah, I
have
forgot
fun.
to cross it off.
Yeah, we talked about that one. God Cause, he writes in, do any of you believe there are champions that will improve your overall game skill / knowledge immensely if you master them? For example, I personally think every mid laner should learn Vel'Koz. His skill shot heavy kit, lack of mobility, and slow movement speed make him someone that will force you to learn how to read the game.
Or you just play Annie.
Yeah.
I'm on the LS
Right.
hype train of if you want to get better at this game, play Annie.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
Go ahead, Dom.
I think the opposite is true. I think it's the really like the relatively simple champions that who you kind of don't have to think about what you're doing with the abilities that actually help you learn how to read the game and figure everything else. Because if you don't really have to think about how to use the abilities, press the button, thing happens, desired thing happens. That's pretty self-explanatory. You
Also
can focus more on basics like CSing, roaming, prioritizing objectives, just all the other elements of the game because there's not a whole lot of difficulty to the champion.
Yeah.
You're not being forced into bad situations that you don't know how to respond to.
And the reason Annie always comes up is Q, it resets when you kill a minion. So you don't have to really worry about CSing too much. You can focus on other things. It's really hard to miss a flash Q because it's a targeted stun.
Right.
And in the lower MMRs, people don't really know how to space very well. So if they all cluster together, you flash ult or flash
Tibbies.
W, and they all die.
I think.
Q refunds half the cooldown and its mana cost. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to. You don't have to worry about shit on Annie.
So it lets you focus on your macro game. Like, all right, I can worry about, am I getting ganked here? Can I roam now? I can easily push the lane in because I don't have to really worry about mana costs. Things like that.
Such a piece of this comes down to what do you want out of playing this game as well? Like, is this something? Are you happy with being a silver level player forever? If that's the case, like, fucking play whoever you want.
Yeah.
Like, if learning necessarily isn't your biggest motivation, then just play whoever you want and have fun. Do that whole thing. If you're trying to learn, if you're trying to get better, there's different ways to look at it. Like, if you need to brush up on mechanical skills, start picking up champions that require more mechanical knowledge to be able to play appropriately. You can build that up slowly by picking a champion like Annie. Hey, push to click abilities are great. Learn spacing, learn the distance on certain things, and get used to quick casting if you're not already.
You should be.
Yeah, I would hope so, but you'd be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised. It really, whatever you want to do. If you're looking for an easy way, and I say this easy relatively, if you're looking for a way to grind, pick an easy champion and just get really, really good at that easy champion.
Mm-hmm.
Again, mid lane, Annie's great. Jungle, there's a bunch of fucking easy junglers.
Warwick.
Yeah, Warwick is
Warwick.
a cakewalk. You'll miss Isolde a bunch until you get it down. I miss
Volibear is a
Isolde probably
cakewalk.
a third of the way. Volibear is a cakewalk.
And
There's
he works
a
really
bunch.
well in lower elos.
Yeah, it's still, it goes back to that Volibear, Skarner, people who can reposition really, really well, ruin people's days at lower elos.
I think I know Blitz is becoming
Amumu.
meta, but Blitz is definitely that support there that teaches you how to play the game outside of lane and teaches you really quickly how to do it because you get lane dominance and then you can just roam around
And
the map
leave.
with your boots of mobility.
The other one you could look at there is Janna. She's doing the opposite of what Blitzcrank does, but the idea there is that you kind of just get to keep your lane under control irrespective of what the enemy's doing, and then you have a lot of say over whether or not fights are happening once the game transitions to the team fight stage. And that's really valuable for understanding.
I like where God Cause's mind is at with that. let's look at Vel'Koz as somebody who can get you pretty good at learning mid lane. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, the skills from a champion like Vel'Koz would transfer to somebody like Xerath, and that would transfer to somebody like Lux, and that might transfer to somebody else who has long range poke. So you're already looking at people as these are going to be great for learning how to position long range champions that don't have much mobility or anything like that. What this won't teach you how to play is the entire other level of mid laners that are like Yasuo, Zed. We'll just throw Echo, Ahri, Orianna. Like there's so many. There's so many different champions and different champion play styles and everything else. Like, again, this sort of comes down to, pick what you want to play. Get really, really good at that. If they're hard to play, yes, it's going to take longer to master. Yes, there's going to be a higher skill ceiling for that. But there's also way, way, way more room for errors. So figure out what you're comfortable with. Figure out where you want to see yourself go, whether that's, hey, I want to fucking become the next Zed monster, which I will never do because I don't have the patience to learn a champion that I have to sell. It's the same thing. I'm okay at Yasuo until I start playing against people who are good at playing against Yasuo, and I have no fucking clue what I'm doing on Yasuo. And my inability to sit and play that champion 200 games in a row immediately makes itself apparent.
Yeah, since we're on the topic, go ahead. I'll let Santana.
It's just like I've even kind of been doing this because I recently decided to pick Fiora back up because I was like, oh, Fiora's really good right now. I should play her. Haven't played her in pretty much 2 seasons. I dropped from my Diamond promos to Plat 2, and I'm like, I'm learning again, so it's not that big of a deal. But when you first change over, you're gonna have some struggles, and you're gonna, kind of maybe get frustrated because you're not winning all these games. But things will start clicking eventually, and you'll start learning the game better and getting better.
And unless you're pushing a ton of games out on a bunch of different things, like if you don't play a champion for a while and you jump back onto them, that skill level is going to have dropped. It's going to take a couple games to reacclimate yourself to it.
Yeah, so if I stop playing Jace, I can't, it takes me 5 games to get used to okay, this is how I do my animation cancels for this.
It's like riding a bike when I play Jhin. Just jump on that champion, take it.
Yeah.
You got to land skill shots. The straight line skill shots.
You right click and throw traps.
It's harder than it looks.
Maybe.
It is. I swear.
I'll play top lane today.
But okay. But hey, since we're on the topic, as always, of getting people better at this game, and I have a potentially unpopular opinion that I'd like to voice.
Oh boy, I can't wait to hear this fucking
unpopular opinion, Adam.
Potentially unpopular opinion.
You know what? I so hope I agree with this opinion. I don't know what it is, but I so hope I do.
It has to deal with ARAMs.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
No, I just want to stop telling people to go play ARAMs, learn how to team fight. Because I don't believe that ARAMs actually teach you how to team fight.
Were you with me the other day? Wait, was that Dom? Was that Dom?
It wasn't me.
That was me.
It was all right. I was talking with Whale and Bow. This was a week ago, and I don't remember what happened. I may have played one ARAM or something like that. And Whale, who just hit Diamond this season, congrats, man.
Shout out.
Well, he hit it last season too, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny because he's immediately like, you know what? I think you should only be allowed to play 2 ARAMs at most a month because I think it teaches you all the wrong ways to play the game.
Yeah, because you're just reckless. You're just like, I'm going to run in and try and do this crazy thing, and I died right off the bat. It's fine. It's ARAM.
Most people playing ARAMs, they want to win, but they don't really want to try to win.
Right.
Or it maybe not even that. Maybe it's If I play a champion like Malphite, it doesn't fucking matter if I'm the only tank. I'm building him AP because I want to press 2 buttons and one-shot somebody. That's the only reason I want to do it. It's a non-serious way of, and I mean, this isn't against anyone who takes ARAMs very seriously. I'm sure there's that niche group of people. More power to you on that.
That high elo ARAM group.
But for somebody like me who plays ARAM as a diversion to Summoner's Rift when I feel like doing it and I don't have time to play a full SR game, I don't take it nearly as seriously, and because of that, the stakes aren't nearly as high to actually improve, and I don't look at it necessarily as an improvement route.
Well, teams are never balanced when you play an ARAM. Ever balanced. And you're on a champion that you are most likely not used to being on, and you don't have to go through those phases of getting power, because power is given to you automatically through increase in global gold, and even melee champions now get an extra 10 magic resist to help them get through the early game. And yeah, I think there is some merit to playing it and understanding how to think during chaos, because you may have to potentially try to dodge 14 different skill shots, or
it's also a fun way to dick around on a champion.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the only merit that I give it is that it teaches you to decipher a fuckload of information at once, which can be great for team fighting. However, when you get to actual team fighting in League of Legends, there's so much more finesse and pieces that are like the peripheral vision pieces. There's so much more that can go on in a team fight, more places that people can engage from, and more people holding on to abilities to be able to get to you or whatever it may be, right? Like it's balls to the wall, throw yourself at the wall and air them, and unlike Summoner's Rift,
use your ultimate on cooldown.
Right. It could be a 2v3 that turns into a 3v3. Suddenly it's a 4v5, and then finally the last person ends up into the team fight. You don't get that in ARAMs. It's all in and then poke down the tower.
Well, and there's nothing else going on that could possibly swing a fight in your favor. Like, you're not gonna. How often you catch somebody out of position in ARAM? Like, it's because you had Blitzcrank and they got a blind hook or something like that. I like ARAMs as a warm up, and that's about, unless I have an unknown amount of time available to me, and I don't want to risk committing to a Summoner's Rift game when I might have to bounce or something, or try to push it to end real fast. Like, I really only like ARAMs for just warming up, so that I can sort of just get some of those first game kinks out of the system.
Get those fingers hot. Those fingers moving. It's the thing I always notice. I always say to these guys, like, we lose a lot of games after the podcast when we play together, but that's because it's not.
Adam spends 20 minutes not remembering how to play League of Legends.
But I'm like, I need
every game.
Every time I need 20 minutes. And by the time that 20 minutes comes in, I'm like, oh man, I can actually use my fingers in CS now and stuff. And I feel like I'm actually playing this game. But I need fucking 20 minutes.
I feel like somebody just needs to come over to your place as soon as we get on with podcasts and force you to clap as hard as you can for 10 minutes.
Is that what you
just
want me to
get
do?
Those hands going. Yeah, just sit there, clap. No, like fucking hard as fuck.
I would do it,
clapping.
But I don't want people to just hear it. Oh, I'm warming those hands up, boys.
I figure Lancifer can just edit that out. Sorry, Lancifer.
We have to just do what they do for the pro stage and just get you those little instant
hand warmers.
Hand warmers, yeah.
My friend's you can get rechargeable ones actually.
I don't need
get
hand
these
warmers.
electric hand warmers that recharge. They're awesome.
I need my fingers just to be able to work and move and click. And then you forget to plug in your mouse, and then your mouse starts to lag because it's not fully charged.
That's my mouse good.
Who doesn't use a corded mouse?
I don't.
I don't use one.
Weirdos.
I used to, and I have this. Did you have the same mouse I have?
No, this is the Logitech G900.
I've got that one for work, Sean.
Wait, yeah, I have this. I have the same one.
I got both of those.
100.
Oh, sweet! Look at that. We're all a bunch of nerds.
We are not sponsored by Logitech by any sort of means, but we should be.
I greatly enjoy this mouse.
If you hate cords as much as I do, and you're looking for a mouse that works just like a cord mouse, the Logitech G900 is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy. I have a 602. I've been pretty happy with this is the first wireless mouse I've had that's like, man, I don't notice that I'm not wired anymore, and that's pretty great because
doesn't Bjergsen use the G900 on stage?
I think so.
No,
I'm not surprised by that.
I mean, there's been a lot of improvement in the quality of wireless mice at this point in time.
Yeah, it doesn't have the
second. I mean, it still has the stigma, but it doesn't have the actual problems people were used to.
I'm sorry, I was being distracted by a girl. Did you say that Bjergsen is using the G900?
Yes, that's
what
I
was asking
Yeah,
Man,
I noticed
Adam,
that.
Why don't you pay attention and not talk to children during a show?
No, I noticed that the other day. I'm pretty sure he's using that G900 on stage.
Yeah.
Yes,
usually you can be like TSM and be mediocre.
And, they're just looking to get better.
Bjergsen's still a good player.
Yeah, blame
what you will about
TSM. Sven needs to stop inting every game, but that's a different story.
Jerk.
Oh my god. Sven can play one champion right now.
He can play Lee Sin.
He can play Lee Sin.
Let's talk about They Call Me Wings question. What do you look for when choosing who to play? What game mechanic do you value the most?
You know what? How about this? What do you guys think I look for when I choose what I'm going to play?
I know what you should be looking for when you choose to play.
What should I be looking for?
You should be looking for somebody who you can bend to your own will, because the Sean philosophy of this game is I'm going to walk into the middle of the team fight, I'm going to cause chaos, and then I'm either going to walk out and we're going to win, or I'm going to die trying.
Yep.
So Sean is a bruiser player, or
I was gonna say I like champions that walk at you. That's what I like, ones that press a button and they walk at you, and if you don't kill them, they're gonna ruin you.
I immediately think Olaf with you.
Olaf.
Okay, so
It's gonna run at him.
I was going back and trying to figure out who everybody's, like, I don't want to say signature, but like who everybody's most known for playing. And Adam's Jin, Santana, you're a Jace player, or anything else. Punch and Kled, me and Alistar, and I was like, what is Sean? And nothing comes to mind because Sean basically has ADD as far as like his champion.
I dabble in many champions.
And then I went back and looked at, and Olaf is in the top 3 for his most played champions in literally every season as far back as OPGG goes. And the other 2 are like never the same from season to season, but Olaf is always in there. I was like, oh, I guess Olaf is Sean's guy.
Yeah, like the last 2 seasons I've played Jason Gangplank, and then I was in Nidalee One Trick in season 4 until they gutted my baby top lane.
Oh.
What a shame.
I'm still salty about that. Give me my auto resets back.
Yes, you are.
She was so good.
Adam, what do you like now that you're finally? Are you settled in ADC? Or are you planning on making a switch up anytime soon?
He switches every season.
No, I'm playing ADC. The only reason I'm playing top lane when I'm not, I play ADC when I play solo queue. And the only reason I queue for top lane if I'm like duoing with somebody like in Flex is because I just want to play something else than ADC for a few games.
Gotcha.
I just kind of have fun going up there and play Darius.
So what is your power of choice in the League of Legends?
I think when I was doing the hardcore climb and finally rested on Jhin, even through that I ran through Malphite and Kindred and whatnot. I was looking for what I did well and what complemented that adjacent to the elo that I was currently in. Malphite was really good at engaging when I was going through gold. When I was late silver or early silver, Kindred and Amumu would just allow me to power my ass through the game and carry people out of the jungle. Malphite allowed me to engage team fights, and eventually I settled on Jhin because 1, we needed ADC, and 2, I found that I got the best of both worlds with that character. I was able to help engage team fights. I was able to do damage, and I was able to help execute when needed. And so Jhin ended up being that character for me. And I'm still playing him now, and I'm seeing decent success on it. I just need to sit down and play a few more games. But after I played 4 games this weekend and went 2-2 on him, and even through those games, I felt like I was doing pretty well, and that if I continue to brute force my way through the skill that I have, that I believe that I have, and my ability to pick and start team fights translates well into solo queue. Just as everybody else says, I need my team to stop feeding. Please stop feeding.
I honestly look for me the question it just boils down to, is the champion do I have fun playing the champion? It shouldn't be is the champion fun to play, it's do I have fun playing the champion. Sona could be the best support in the game, and I'm never going to regularly play her because I just don't have fun playing.
I love playing. She's so fun.
And you love playing Sona, and Days Untold loves playing Sona and everything, but I just don't like playing Sona.
Do you think playing Soraka's fun?
Not really. Like a little bit more fun than Sona, but I really don't enjoy either of those champions.
I do have a question. Did you like when Soraka was a solo laner?
No.
old Soraka back when it was the Q spam Star Call. No, I didn't like that. But...
Oh, come on, that was awesome.
I
never did that.
Aw, you missed out. You missed out.
I was in one game against top lane Soraka, and I've never lost lane harder than that ever in the entire time I've ever played. And the thing is, it's not that I didn't kill her. It's that she just stood there dying a million times, wasn't worth shit. And it got to the point where I couldn't kill her, and she would spam stars and kill the entire wave and eventually my turret. It didn't matter what happened. She just it was
it was a wonderful time in season 5.
No.
4?
Yeah, it was
4.
like that was. I think it was 4.
It was more season 4 because I remember season 5 I played Soraka.
Well, that was something that bled out of Dominion, believe it or not, because Feedsky did that a lot, playing her in bot lane, and then he just took it to top lane in Summoner's Rift, and
this is a pretty good
everybody
lane
crazy.
champion. We're gonna play it.
yeah, and then High ruined it for everybody.
Yep.
Or was it Pobelter? One of those two.
Either of them, both of them, all
They're
of them.
both assholes for playing it. That's all that matters.
Goddamn NA mids.
Yeah, bastards.
And now one of the better NA mids is playing support for Team Meme Dream.
Shifter.
Shifter, yeah.
There's no NA mid talent anymore. There's an article about this today. Just like unless Liquid changes their mid laner again, there's currently 3 NA mids, 3 Danish mids, and 4 Korean imports in the NA LCS right now.
Oh, I'm gonna say, wait, who are the NA mids? Golden Glue.
Golden Glue, High, and Pobelter.
They all have their. I mean, Golden Glue sucks ass, so no. High and Pobelter have.
I don't think Golden Glue's bad. I just don't think he's good. I think he's the same.
He's average. He's an average pro player, right?
Yeah, he's the same thing that happened to Chris. Crushes Challenger, can't do shit in the LCS.
Anyway, we're not an LCS.
Yeah, we're
just
off topic.
Let's do this last question of the document and wrap it up for this evening. Gallon writes in, I'd like some pointers for really taking over a game if I'm super fed. How do I want to position relative to my team? Should I try to split push or group? I know that's a hugely situational question.
Hey, Adam, you talked to me about this morning. This exact thing is what you brought up to me.
What did I text you this morning?
You texted me that you really wish when people in lanes such as top got advantages, instead of continuing to push and doing that all day, you wish they just joined the team and ended up taking everything else on the map, and top can go fuck itself.
Well, no, it's more than yes. I wish that what would happen is if bottom stomps really hard. Okay, so to back this up, actually, is that even
if anybody stomps hard,
even through Diamond, dude, this happens all the way up to Diamond 1. I've read this. It happens until it probably never stops because people are just fucking idiots. But people continuously always go to their lane. That is my lane. I am a LeBlanc mid. I am going mid because that is my lane. This happens all the way through fucking Diamond, so don't feel bad if you're doing it now. Bot lane. I took bot tower. I'm going back to bot to continue to force down bot. When in reality, bot should be rotating top, or mid should be rotating bottom, and bottom should be coming mid, and all these rotations should be happening to force the power around, to use that power to be able to split push properly. And people don't understand how to do that, or their egos are too big.
It's not even always that they don't understand, because sometimes they just don't want to. You can type that into chat, and your bot lane could start going top, and there are a lot of top laners like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm not going down.
I rotate out of top all the time.
I know you do, but you know what you're doing.
I don't want to be up there.
Right. There was a point last night when I was playing that Darius Nocturne matchup, and they were in my team. It was just me and Darius sitting in top lane while my team was knocking down mid and stuff. And I went, and I think I told Sean, I said, Sean, I'm done. I'm leaving top lane. I'm going to fucking side lanes, and I'm going to force it. And yeah, he walked down mid and took a couple towers, but we got inhib out of it because I fucking left my lane and stopped fucking with Darius. Like, there just comes a point where I go, you know what? You can fucking have my tower. I'm sick and tired of defending it. You can have that global goal. We've already gotten first brick. I'm going to go kill your team and take everything else.
That's why I love pushing down tower, or like more than anything. And then I guess second favorite in those cases is like just having my tower get taken down, because either way, I get to fucking leave my lane. Like, as far as I'm concerned, once a tower in bot lane goes down, I'm done babysitting. Like, you're on your own, AD carry. I'm gonna go do all the things that I actually want to do instead of holding your hand.
But Tom, my hand is so soft. I lotion it up every day
cold,
for you.
By all accounts.
Yeah, apparently freezing.
Yeah.
Goddamn vampire.
I'll leave you there. Fuck you. Oh, man, you were saving me? Thanks for saving me. I'm going to CS at my tower. That's my philosophy.
But again, back to the question. All these are... It's really situational, because it depends on what you're playing. Like, support-wise, you probably... If you're playing a support and you get really fed, great, I guess. But if you're playing something like top lane, this question is entirely dependent on what you pick in champ select. Am I playing Galio? Well, then I kind of can split push because I have really good wave clear, and I have an ultimate that lets me get into the fight, like Shen ult. but it might be better for me to team fight. I don't know. But if you're playing something like Fiora, you should never be grouping unless you are forcing the end of the game and you're TPing or something.
You could group if you're flanking. Like if you're flanking
Oh, yeah,
mid
like,
outer turret or something.
I'm just saying you shouldn't just be sitting with 5 just trying to like do anything.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
not going to get anywhere. But if you're playing Malphite, yeah, group, go kill everyone.
Right. It's such a broad question, it's too hard to answer succinctly. I think the good rule of thumb is to figure out what your power level is in the game and use that power to your advantage in a lane or in a scenario that you believe would be used most forcefully, or you get the most out of it. Malphite is a really good example of that, as you said.
Generally, if in solo queue at least, if you crush your lane or whatever, try to get your other lanes ahead, because that'll make the game snowball harder and a lot easier to close out than if I'm like 4-0 on Jace and I'm just splitting top all day. Well, eventually, again, I've seen this happen in solo queue all the time. If 2 or 3 come top lane to come kill me, my team's usually not in a position to do anything. Sure. And they just kind of like dawdle around, and then I die, I get the shutdown goal goes to the other team, and my team's just like, why are you splitting so far? I'm like, why aren't you doing anything with me splitting so far? It's just try to get your other lanes ahead.
I feel like most leads are blown because you have 1 or 2 people who want to just do whatever they feel inclined to do at that time, but they at the same time want the rest of their team to read their mind and know what they're going to do, and then be there to back them up when they're doing something just unreasonably reckless or frankly unnecessary.
Gallon, I don't know what role you play. I don't know if it's mid, top, bot, whatever. But here's what I want you to practice, and anybody else out there, this is what I want you to practice going in the future, is stop grouping mid. Instead, take your power to top or bot and start forcing that down 2 or 3v1, because your team should and generally will follow you doing that. But if you have taken a tower and you are ahead, or stop wasting your ability in the lane you are in and move to another side lane and see what you get out of it. And then make a note. This is what I got in this scenario. Maybe save the video replay file and then make a note of this timestamp. Whatever works for you, right? You can figure that out yourself. And then analyze that. I was Darius. I stopped my lane. I couldn't get my tower because he's ranged. I walked to the jungle. I killed the jungler, and then I walked mid, and we killed the mid laner. We got the tower. That worked because of why. And you could write that down and figure that out yourself. But as soon as you start analyzing how you're using that power and where you're using it, I think you'll get the answer to the question you're looking for.
And that's just good advice in general. Go back, and if you want to improve at this game, go back and watch your replays. See what you're doing wrong. See what you're missing. See what obvious things that now that you're not in the game thinking about everything at once, now you're like step back and like, all right, I can see everything on the map. Why didn't I go do this here when obviously bot lane backed and we could have got a free tower? Or, oh, we killed mid lane. Why did we all back there? Because I swear the thing that happens a lot in low elo too is you'll win a team fight and then everyone bases.
Right.
Instead of trying to push for something.
Oh, I hate that.
It happens so often.
Fun.
This
is when we have the numbers advantage. Like we should take something here.
That goes back to
that's a good
communicating
question.
with pings. If you know what the next objective is the moment that team fight is ending, just start spamming the on my way ping to that fucking tower or objective, because people will follow you.
Yeah, or if you're like the ADC, just start it and somebody will come take it for you. Hopefully.
Oh, I do that all the time with dragons. All the time.
Yeah.
How many games do you think you guys have played where you either said or thought, we shouldn't be fighting in the jungle? What the fuck are we doing fighting in the jungle?
There are so many
Every other game.
There's so many times I'm in a game and it's against a Rumble or anyone who has some sort of AoE like that. And I'm like, oh man, we got this awesome fight. We got a great pick or whatever. Somebody ults, everyone dies. Man, we really shouldn't have done that. Flash forward 5 minutes, right back in the jungle, same goddamn thing happens. When are you going to learn, Sean? When are you just never going to go back in those dirty woods?
Probably
with those
never.
assholes.
Right.
But here's the thing, like, as long as it's not your full team grouping up, if it's just you or like you and one other person, you should really start fucking camping out their jungle. Like, they're going to be going in there. There's stuff they want in that jungle. So throw some wards down, and if you see more of them coming than you want to deal with, then back the fuck out. But otherwise, like, just sit and wait. Somebody's going to come looking for whatever it is. And that's a kill, and that can suddenly start turning shit into advantages and objectives for you.
Well, hey, Aphromo's status in game right now is buy a fucking pink ward.
Oh, aggressive. I like it.
So if that doesn't tell you what you need to know,
Oh my god.
buy a fucking red ward, but still.
Every again, when I look at people like, oh, can you look at my op.gg? Could you tell me like what's going on? And first thing I look at, how many control words did you buy? 0?
Right.
Oh, it's always 0. Buy more than 0.
I average 3 a game right now.
Oh, I don't even know where I'm at now.
How many did I buy?
It doesn't count. You skew the average. B.
Yeah, Dom. You may as well fucking set that.
10.
You set that curve, son.
I played.
Go watch professional league games. Lots of those guys will sit on 2 or 3 in the inventory at any one time.
Yeah.
Most times I go back to base. I leave with a 3 stack.
Yeah.
Not me. It's 1. That's all I can afford. I bought my big item. You're lucky I got 75 gold left over. If Riot gave me a potion that gave me 3 AD for 75 gold, I'd buy it. I don't care how gold efficient it is. But fuck the big ward. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. That's I think that's a good point to leave it here. We have emptied our mailbag. Actually, I think I sent you a whole bunch of them, Dom. A whole bunch of new questions and shit. Or I put them in.
You
there.
might have, but if they were in Slack, they're lost, so you better resend them. And if you emailed them, they're also lost, so you better resend them.
All right, well, I know we have a whole bunch of listener questions because we've been getting inundated with them, which is great. Continue to send us listener questions. Feedback at TrinityForcePodcast.com. Continue to fill our mailbag, and we will continue to try to find additional topics to talk about that are outside of the mailbag questions because we do like to bring you guys some unique and new insight every single week. Please, if you're out there, I have one request for everybody, and that's share the information that you're receiving from us and let people know where you are finding it. Word of mouth is the best way to get this podcast out there and get to more listeners in their ears. We are serving quite a number of you, but I would like to eventually serve the entire League of Legends community, regardless of how feeble of an effort.
Harass us on social media. Most of us are there.
We are.
Slash all of us.
We all are, I think.
That's right. Yeah, we're all out there on Twitter. We got one. We'll respond. Other than that, patreon.com/TForce Network. Oriana is coming this month. We have another one set up, I believe, for Kennen, or was Kennen last month? I think Kennen was last month.
Yeah, Oriana coming up.
Oriana is coming, and something else is coming as well. And also, in the next 7 days after this podcast goes live, we will have an open beta of our new website available for everybody to use, including a new mobile. And we will be taking suggestions on how to make it better, because I know a lot of you didn't like what it is going on right now, and I didn't like it either. But that is almost done, ready to push out. So that's it, guys. That is the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the Trinity Force Network and specifically the Trinity Force podcast. We will see you all on Wednesday with some more League of Legends discussion. Guys, have a good evening. Peace.
Kisses.
Later. Toodles.